Retail Therapy is my third custom map for Proteus. One of its sequences I hope will stick with players is the chain gunner chase. While making Altitude, I got lots of feedback that players really enjoyed the dynamic elements. In Altitude those elements all went in the player's favour. I wanted to turn the tables in my next map. I created an initial proof of concept where a chain gunner would follow the player, attacking them as they burst from cover. It worked pretty well because the chain gunner's attack takes a little while to kick in, so the player can always avoid getting hit if they listen to the gun spinning up. I added in a few other enemies to make it interesting and allowed the player to get their revenge by jumping over the gunner's vehicle and shooting from the one side that isn't shielded. I was pretty happy with the jump element as it meant the player was still using the dynamic nature of the level. When I started work on Retail Therapy, I put together a similar layout with pillars and a raised platform for the player to jump from in my initial blockout and set about scripting a more polished version. I also added a red dynamic light that shone in the direction the chain gunner was facing. This meant even if the player wasn't looking at the gunner, it was always clear which section of the map was dangerous, so the player could make quick decisions about their movement. The layout for this section would remain largely unchanged, but playtests quickly showed this section of the level was not as intuitive as I'd hoped. Players had learned to run away from the chain gunner, so after jumping over the vehicle, they just kept running. This was pretty anticlimactic and resulted in the chain gunner taking pot shots at you from the other side of the map. To fix this, I had the chain gunner come out of the train facing away from the player so they could see early on there was a sign without defences, and I added a door the player would have to open so there wasn't immediately a route to run away. Initially I thought this had done the trick, but as more playtests happened it emerged roughly half the players didn't realise or didn't quickly realise they could hurt the gunner after jumping over them.
Or they just, wait a minute, can I kill you? I can kill you! What? Wait, how'd I do that? Was that the button? I don't think that was open before. Okay, now you're my steed.
Some players went through the door without looking back at the chain gunner at all. To get around players opening the door, legging it and then being shot for the next 5 minutes, I changed the door to require a red key and put that in the vehicle with the machine gunner. This ensured the players had to kill the gunner or at least get very close to them. This didn't fix the issue where players simply didn't register that the machine gunner wasn't shielded on one side. Something about the way the machine gunner looked standing by a shield meant it wasn't instantly clear which side of the shield he was on. To make it clear, I added a back plate with the target icon players were used to shooting to the vehicle and animated it into position during the entrance sequence. When shot, it would break and disable all the shields. This made it much clearer to the player what they should do after jumping to the platform. The final tweak to this bit came when a playtester jumped around the door, circumventing the need to get the key. That was easily fixed with a bit of extra geometry. There was one final issue. Occasionally players didn't realise the box that was trying to kill them was also a platform and the way forward. I ended up adding a bit of detailing on the floor with the triangle that indicated you should jump and adding a visible ammo pickup on the point you jumped to. After this, playtesters tended to make the jump straight away without backtracking. In the final version, I also added warm lights either side of the tower entrance to make it as enticing as possible. I'm quite pleased with how this section turned out. I think it adds a good change of pace to the section of the map and creates a memorable moment in the gameplay.